Friendly reminder. This is the scariest horror film in Indonesia in recent years. Even ghosts would be terrified by it. They would have their hair standing on end. The ghostly woman in white resembles the beauty of ancient Chu, the creaking, dilapidated doors, and the bone-deep Chinese horror. Every scene sends chills down your spine. Hurry and watch it with your innocent friends. The movie starts in a seemingly ordinary hotel, but it actually harbors deadly secrets. Every time midnight arrives, in a certain room deep within the hotel, strange noises always emerge. But even if the sounds are eerie, the old woman always remembers what the male steward told her. He said this room must never be opened, otherwise the consequences would be unimaginable. But that night, the noises in the room were even stranger than before. Listening to those strange sounds, coming one after another, the old woman ultimately couldn't resist any longer. Slowly got up and walked over. Unexpectedly, just as she opened the door, her heart suddenly skipped a beat. Scared, she quickly shut the door, and the way she gasped for breath was very much like she had seen something terrifying. Sure enough, amidst her panic, on the other side of the door, a tuft of dry white hair suddenly appeared. It seemed an invisible force was dragging it, as if moving closer to the old woman, accompanied by the sound of the white hair dragging on the ground getting louder. The old woman couldn't help it again. She really wanted to see what was behind the door, and she wanted to know if everything she just saw was actually real. Unexpectedly, when she walked in, the dry white hair instantly disappeared, replaced by a rocking toy horse that was swaying, and an extremely human-like oil painting. But strangely, the wooden horse in the painting surprisingly looks just like the one by the old woman's feet. Just as she was feeling anxious and uneasy, the room suddenly fell into darkness, and then instantly returned to light. But when the old woman regained her senses, she was horrified to discover that the little girl in the painting had bizarrely climbed onto the wooden horse. She thought she was imagining things, and kept confirming it. But when she turned her head, the girl pointed a finger at the old woman, as if urging her to come quickly. Immediately after, the old woman's body suddenly moved uncontrollably, slowly walking towards the painting. Unexpectedly, when she stopped, the girl in the painting vanished in an instant. Still in shock, a pair of pale, terrifying little hands reached around her waist. The old woman was scared to death on the spot, and the girl returned to the painting once more. She stood there quietly all the while, as if waiting for the next prey. After the old lady passed away, the inn was taken over by her granddaughter, Xiaomei. But while she was sorting through her grandmother's belongings, she suddenly found the key to the room where her grandmother had an incident. She felt it was somewhat strange, so she thought about going in to find out more. But another maid told her that the room must never be opened, otherwise her fate would be the same as her grandmother's. However, as an atheist, Xiaomei could hardly believe her ghost stories. In addition, she questioned the maid, saying that the old lady was already dead, so why couldn't they open the room? Saying this, she immediately ran to that room, but unexpectedly found the door already locked. In despair, she turned back to get the key, but when she opened the box, she found the key had inexplicably disappeared. Only some strange flower petals. Xiaomei thought, since the key can't be found, forget it. I'll talk about it tomorrow. So she simply lay down on the bed to rest. Little did she know, just as she closed her eyes, a strange noise suddenly came from the room. Xiaomei was scared and quickly turned on the light to check, but at first glance, there was nothing there. However, when the light was turned off, the sound came again. It wasn't until Xiaomei widened her eyes and looked closely that she was horrified to discover that the closet door had been blown open by an evil wind. She turned on the light again, and everything immediately became calm again. Xiaomei stared at the closet in confusion. Unexpectedly, in the next second, when the light was off, the old ghost with white hair appeared in the closet again. When the light was on, it vanished instantly. It seemed like she was caught in a vicious cycle. Looking at the terrifying scene before her, Xiaomei was completely terrified. Even if she didn't believe in the supernatural, she had to turn on the light this time. She barely got through the night. But the strange things, that was just the beginning. Because of what happened last night, Xiaomei called her boyfriend Xiao Shuai the next day, asking him to come over quickly to keep her company. But as they talked, Xiao Shuai suddenly realized that his girlfriend was clearly eating, but the food in her spoon had suddenly turned into petals. Why are you eating flowers? Xiaomei immediately spat out the petals. Then she called the butler to question him. But strangely, in the butler's eyes, this was clearly a normal breakfast. How did it turn into petals in Xiaomei's eyes? Something was off, very off. Even this hotel felt like it was filled with an indescribable sensation everywhere. So Xiaomei took out her phone and started taking pictures while walking around. As a result, she actually captured a strange ghostly figure. Xiao Mei's heart jolted at once. She was so frightened that she hastily widened her eyes to look around. But there was nothing in front of her. As she picked up her phone, the ghostly shadow reappeared. Suddenly, an invisible hand reached out beside her. It pressed down directly on her arm. At this point, Xiao Mei was completely panicked. She felt that all of this must be the work of that room in the hotel. So she prepared to force the door open. The butler, seeing this, hurried to stop her. However, Xiao Mei did not listen at all. After opening the door, dust filled the room. It was completely different from what she saw before the old lady's incident. They were two entirely different scenes. Xiao Mei searched around here, looking left and right. Finally, she found an altar and a family portrait, and a portrait of a woman. It seemed that this should be the room of the hotel's former owner. But if that's the case, why did she leave this place abandoned? There must be some hidden truth behind it. Until Xiao Mei found something resembling a scarecrow. Finally, everything became clear. Hearing the butler mention it, this is a doll named Ninette Hawk. It was used by the previous owner as a medium to communicate with spirits. After using it many times, it inevitably attracts unclean things. However, Xiao Mei didn't believe this at all. Instead, she directly pulled out the doll and set it on fire. Unexpectedly, it was precisely her actions, showing no reverence for the divine, that would bring her unprecedented disaster. You must know that some things you may not believe, but you must respect them. Sure enough, on that deep night, Xiao Mei's sister was playing ball with a child worker by the bedside. However, just then, the child worker accidentally threw the ball under the bed. Then, he got up and went to the bathroom. In the blink of an eye, only the sister was left. The sister leaned down to pick up the ball, but in the next second, a white figure suddenly appeared behind her. The younger sister seemed to sense something, so she immediately got up to take a look. But she looked around, yet she couldn't see anything at all. Just when she was puzzled, two balls suddenly popped out from under the bed. The younger sister thought someone was hiding on the other side of the bed, so she got up and walked over. But suddenly, a few more balls ran out from here again. Immediately, countless balls appeared right in front of her. These balls darted quickly under the bed, so frightened that the younger sister didn't dare to breathe. She thought there was something under the bed, so she bravely crouched down to take a look. Unexpectedly, at that moment, the younger sister was immediately scared into childhood trauma. She quickly told her sister about it. She said there was a strange girl under that bed. Her face was really scary. After hearing this, Xiao Mei, quickly, he embraced his sister to comfort her. He then recounted the strange occurrences from the past few days, and the doll called Ninette Hawk. He told his boyfriend everything in detail. Listening to his girlfriend's account, the boyfriend couldn't help but feel a chill run down his spine. In order to help his girlfriend, he quickly searched online for the origins of the doll. It was only then that they finally understood. It turned out that although Ninette Hawk was a medium, its specific purpose was as a medium to communicate with children who died young. If anyone were to be careless, wanting to destroy or maliciously slander it, that person would definitely face backlash. Hearing this, Xiao Mei couldn't help but feel panic. She thought to herself, isn't that careless person me? But how could I have known this thing was so effective? Since things have come to this point, Xiao Mei could only go back and come up with a plan. Unexpectedly, as soon as she returned to the hotel, she suddenly discovered that the butler was actually holding her sister and the child laborer, kneeling in front of the former owner's room. It seemed like they were performing some sort of ritual. She immediately asked the butler if there was anything he was hiding from her, because ever since taking over the hotel, strange things had been happening frequently here. Miss, we must hold a ritual, because you have already disturbed the spirits here. It's only a matter of time before something happens. Then she heard the butler mention that the former owner of the hotel had a daughter named Yingying. But then something happened that no one knew. Yingying suddenly disappeared overnight. No matter how the former owner searched, he could never find his daughter. In despair, she tried to use the Ninette Hawk to find her daughter. But after half a month, there was still no result. It was also from this time on, the former master missed his daughter every day. Ultimately, his longing became a malady, and he ended his own life. At the same time, it was also because of his yearning for his daughter during his lifetime. After the former master died, he transformed into a wandering spirit. She possessed that painting, wandering day and night in the rooms of the inn. As long as someone intruded, they would be directly dragged into hell by her. And Xiao Mei's sister, the reason she has been experiencing some bizarre incidents lately, is entirely due to her age, being similar to the age of the former master's daughter. That is why the former master attempted to take her away. For this reason, the steward held a special ritual, in an attempt to appease the vengeful spirit of the former master. But the ritual was not yet complete, when Xiao Mei suddenly walked in and forcibly took her sister away. Now they had completely run out of options. However, even though the steward had warned them many times, Xiao Mei still did not realize the seriousness of the situation. She angrily approached the portrait of her former master. She questioned what exactly she wanted to do. Could she spare her sister? Unexpectedly, as soon as she finished speaking, a strange noise suddenly came from behind her. Xiao Mei instinctively turned to look. To her surprise, it was a pair of pale little hands. She thought it was her sister, so she cautiously followed. Little did she know that as soon as she walked in, she saw 3 swings, swinging back and forth in a misty room. Xiao Mei slowly approached the swing. Little did she expect that in the next second, 2 strangely behaving little girls suddenly appeared on the swings. Xiao Mei was so scared that she quickly ran away. But just as she caught her breath, Xiao Mei focused her gaze. Wasn't this exactly the Nanita Hawk doll she had burned before? How could it suddenly appear here? This is really running into a ghost. So she hurriedly crossed this thing. She wanted to leave this place. But just after taking a few steps, she encountered another one. And as she kept walking outward, she unexpectedly saw the third, fourth, and fifth ones. Looking at such a strange scene, Xiao Mei finally believed that she had really run into ghosts. She could only tremble as she searched for a way out. But the further she went inside, the more she felt something was off. She saw those dolls seem to come to life, creeping up on Xiao Mei unnoticed. Just when she was heavily surrounded, the male butler timely turned on the lights in the room. Only then did Xiao Mei narrowly escape a disaster. But when he heard about the strange events Xiao Mei experienced, a sudden, inexplicable panic surged in his heart. And from his reaction, it was not hard to see what was behind the male butler. It seems to hide certain unknown secrets. In fact, many years ago, he was already a child worker at the inn. At that time, the former owner was still alive. Her daughter, Ying Ying, had not yet disappeared. But one day later, while the boy was pushing Ying Ying on the swing, he accidentally pushed too hard, causing Ying Ying to fall and die tragically on the spot. Looking at the body bleeding on the ground, the boy was terrified. In order to continue working here, he kept it a secret from everyone. He secretly hid Ying Ying's body, and this led to everything that happened afterward. Nowadays, perhaps only by finding Ying Ying's body can the former owner let Xiao Mei's sister go. Besides that, the male steward's mouth has been calling out his sister's name. Presumably, she has already been taken away by the former owner. After learning about this, Xiao Mei boldly speculated the previous owner must have taken her sister to a place where Ying Ying might exist. So she decided to search for her sister alone. She had her boyfriend and the male butler look for Ying Ying's body. Little did she expect that as soon as she arrived at the anticipated location, the lights above suddenly began to flicker repeatedly, and countless vengeful spirits from the underworld began to emerge continuously from the crevices. Looking at the vengeful spirits appearing before her, Xiao Mei was so scared that she took off running. But no matter where she ran, the vengeful spirits were always right behind her. First, there was a long-haired ghost that suddenly appeared in her path. Then a black-faced zombie suddenly attacked her from behind. After a hard struggle, she finally ran into a corner, only to see two terrifying old ladies in keepouts. Even the little girl on the wooden horse from the beginning suddenly appeared at the entrance to the underworld. If she hadn't seen it with her own eyes, Xiao Mei would never have thought in her life that she was just burning a doll, could actually walk through the underworld. Fortunately, after a desperate Dao Wong, she finally found, at a corner, the lingering spirit left by the former owner. Upon seeing this scene, Xiao Mei kept talking about how Ying Ying was killed, and pleaded with her to release her sister. Meanwhile, the male butler who found the body finally arrived here at that moment. He revealed the whole truth to the former owner. In addition, he assured her that he would properly bury Ying Ying's body. Listening to the butler's confession, although the former owner bore resentment, it had all become a thing of the past. No matter what was done, her daughter could never come back to life. Thinking of this, she decided to let go of the past, and at the same time released Xiao Mei's sister. And after this incident, Xiao Mei felt that this hotel was too ominous, so she sold it at a low price to a man. But on the man's first day moving in, he encountered something incredibly strange again. Alright, today's story ends here. Subscribe to the channel to continue watching. See you next time.